Hello and welcome to I Am with Eric Faria. I am your host. It is my pleasure to have here with me in the studio today Darut McGregor and Michael Albin, who are both musicians and songwriters. Darut has been here before and he talked about his great work with men. And now he's here with Michael, his partner, and we're going to be talking about conscious hip hop.
Yes, indeed.
Yes?
Yes.
Which I just love the term, by the way. When I heard conscious hip hop, I was like, I have to get this person on the show. So last time you weren't able to really go in depth, so now we can.
Right.
All right, so welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Yes, and welcome again, Darut.
Thank you.
So can we begin at how the whole project came together? What is the name of the group?
So the name of the group is Wadada, the Love Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been together for about maybe like 7 years now.
7 years, okay.
We started as a live band with about 7 members.
Yeah.
A full live band, and we performed all over Manhattan and went upstate to festivals and
Cool.
and put out a couple of records. And,
Really?
And
Oh, wow.
you know, we had a nice run, and it was very hard. Very like punk influenced music, you know, very
It was
Bad
almost
Brains.
like punk. We kind of came up with a name,
Yeah.
Punkadelic
Right.
hip hop. So it was like
hip-hop.
hard live hip hop music.
Yeah.
But with bass, guitar, drums, full on band.
Yeah,
sax.
percussion.
How
you
many
know.
members?
It was 6.
Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say it was like Bad Brains meets Public Enemy and The Roots, you know.
Wow,
Yeah,
that sounds
Yeah.
very interesting. I would
Yeah.
like to listen to one of the records. I
Yeah.
wish I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was so that was a different time for us, you know, and it was a lot of the music was definitely really politically charged and very for the time that and the era that the music was coming out in.
Right.
And you know, and as all bands do, you know, you go through transition periods,
Sure.
you know, with a lot of different musicians, you know, life comes along, you know, marriage, children, all these things happen. And so as the band transitioned, it became more of Mike and myself working together. And because of we're also really very connected. He's like my brother. We're really good friends. Our children grew up together, you know.
Nice.
So we're in each other's lives on a really regular basis.
Yeah.
And
So it's easier
yes.
to actually partner up with somebody like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas with the band with like 6 people, it's hard to get everybody on the same page
Yeah.
and in the same room.
And available also
Right.
with their lives, right?
Scheduling, yeah,
Scheduling,
it's
yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So the 2 of us kind of got together. I played percussion originally in the band, and I did a little bit of spoken word on the albums, poetry. But with this new music that we're releasing, I feel like I have a little more say. We're kind of writing together now, whereas with the big band, I was just playing percussion and writing the poetry. But here it's kind of like a mutual
Absolutely.
creation.
Yeah.
Creation,
Yeah.
got it. And what is like this? What are the songs about? What is the message that you want to convey?
The songs, there's different topics. It's not as political. I'd say it's more, I don't like to say spiritual, but it's more spiritual. It's looking inside yourself. It's knowing that words are powerful and what we say
Yeah, so like
impacts.
consciousness, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the direction that it's going in. And the sound is a little bit different in a sense that we still have live instrumentation, like I'll play percussion. We have a bass player that'll come and play bass.
Who was the bass player from our band?
Right.
Okay.
But we also incorporate like field recordings. So like on trips that I take, if we go hiking, I'll record like the birds in the woods. So we add that layer to the music.
Awesome.
So those sounds are like the framework of the music, and then the percussion kind of blends in, and then we have a whole song. So we try to incorporate like outside stuff. So we have a song that we just finished up called We the Ones, and there's recording of like kids in my neighborhood. And you hear it throughout
that you
the
actually
song.
incorporated into the song.
Yeah, so you hear it throughout the song. So that's the sound. That's the sound of the music, and the feel is really he can explain.
Yeah,
the feel.
the feel is it's definitely has a more spiritual feel to it, you know, and it's like it's bringing to bring a different element into the hip hop sphere, I feel, is because, you know, what we're dealing with is like almost like medicine music with hip hop. And like medicine music is kind of like, you know, usually folky kind of music, you know, and like.
Has a soothing quality.
Right,
to it,
it's very soothing, you know. So because of the different works that we've been doing on ourselves, you know, from the men's work and, you know, from also getting very into ourselves and, you know, finding out about, you know, the different things that are going on with plant medicines and people that are doing these different sacred works that are very close to us, you know, it brings this whole other element into the creation of the music. And once you start doing this type of work, you know, it transforms you and it starts to make what you do creatively starts to mimic that. And so my music is definitely now more mimicking this spiritual work and this larger landscape of really spreading love. And with the name Wadada, which is love.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why it's the love movement, because there are some reggae groups called Wadada, because that's really where it came from with us, from my Rastafarian, you know, liberty. And Wadada is something that was just a common word that we used, you know, amongst ourselves. But so the whole essence of what we're trying to do is spread love. You know, and it's to show love in all different aspects and to show how love is tangible and it's something that you can hold on to and it's something that you can taste and smell and feel and share. And it's not just, you know, this word that we use and throw around very loosely, but we're really trying to show people that this is something that we can now use as a conscious, you know, tool, you know, to start bridging gaps, you know, within the music, you know. Showing how with this music we can bring people together. We can start to unify ourselves more than separate.
That is fantastic. I love that as a mission for a group, for a band, and just spreading art, right? Because that's a way that I feel like you get closer to people more so than just, say, speaking.
Right. And I think like in terms of the music, in terms of the content, it being more spiritual and more about spreading love, I think it's more timeless than like a political tune, because the political tune might just be for that
Times
time,
change.
you know?
Right.
So with this music, I feel like, you know, we could play it. I play it for my kids. I play it for my mother, you know? So I'm, you know, I could play it for anybody, and I feel like the generations after us are gonna still listen to the music.
Well, how long have people been singing about love?
Yeah, you know? It's long.
It's not gonna go anywhere.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I love that idea, and I was actually glad that you mentioned that the work with the men's group, and also I guess just maturity, right? Just the point where you guys are in life was informative of the type of music that you're now doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, I've been an MC since, you know, I've been a teenager. You know, and I've been in various groups in my life growing up. You know, so it's not like I just decided that I wanted to rhyme and do hip hop. You know, this is something that has definitely been a part of me for. But like I said, it's the maturity, right? It's like, you know, I'm an adult now. I'm not going to be making songs about sneakers. you know,
You could, but
you know,
yes,
yeah,
it'd be a little weird.
Right, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not going to waste your time and you know, rhyme about sneakers and, you know, and cars or you know, something frivolous like that. You know. And I'm trying to get a different message across, and you know, and I'm still trying to make music for people that just enjoy good music, you know, and that we all grew up listening to this hip hop music, you know, we still enjoy the sound, you know, but we're even bringing a different element into that sound, you know, with the type of production that we're doing, you know, so it just feels good, you know. And as songwriters and musicians, we just like to keep making music, you know?
Of course. It's kind of like breathing air, right? You just have to do it.
Right. So, I mean, with the music, we release albums. We just released one called True Root. When was that? The end of June.
That was the end of June.
Yeah. Then we have another EP coming out called Seeking the Magic Within. Then we have another one. So we have like a catalog of songs that we're going to release slowly, 6 or 7 songs at a time.
Awesome.
I mean, even just releasing them, it's not like we're trying to make thousands of dollars. We're just, you know, doing it to kind of bring people together within our community, have little, you know, little concerts in the living room. You know, so we're not really doing it for the money. And I look at it more like we're talking about being more mature with your music and your message. It's like programming. We're trying to program. I don't want to say program my kids.
I got it. No, I got it. Yes, I got it.
The music has a message,
Sure.
and I'm not trying to get a negative message going, because a lot of music right now is not promoting
I totally
positivity,
hear you. Yes.
what a real masculine male should be. So we're trying to get that across in the music.
I love where you guys are going with this. We're going to take a little break, but then I really want to explore what we're talking about. So for everybody watching, we'll be back with Darut and Michael right after this break. Stick with us. And welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria. Once again, I have here with me Darut and Michael, and I'm just going to jump in because we have a lot to talk about. So you were talking about messaging, right? Putting out a positive message out there. Why do you think that so much of the music that we listen to nowadays, both of you, right? Why do you think it's gotten to a point where it's so like low-hanging fruit? It's just, there seems to be no message, or it's so empty.
I mean, I think there can be different reasons. You know, I mean, I think that the music industry and the world at large, you know, I think that they, you know, they're trying to keep people in a certain place, you know, and I think that with keeping the youth, you know, not thinking very much, you know, just on a party mentality. It keeps them not really trying to grow too fast. I feel as well, you know, and this is something that we experienced in when I was growing up. The music at that point sometimes wasn't all that great either, but there were different elements, you know, and you felt like, you know, there were those real pockets, you know, and where you could definitely still get something good. And I feel for my children that were growing up, I always feel like, man, I feel sorry for these guys.
I know.
But then I didn't want to be like the adult, you know, like how my parent was with me.
Right. The songs were so much better.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't want to be that either. So I think that there are definitely still elements of good music out there.
Yeah,
they're just, it's just not what's being promoted, you know, by the masses.
By the mainstream.
Absolutely.
That's what I was going to say, because nowadays we definitely have more people making music and putting their music out, but maybe it's not what you're hearing on the radio or through the mainstream channels.
So the exposure is really only for those mainstream artists and the artists that have a manager and a label. But like you said, it's easy to put out music, you know, to create music.
Or like, easier than it was before,
So we create music in a back room in my house. We call it the purple room because it's all purple.
That's cool.
You know, we put it together with a laptop, then we send it to a studio guy to master it. So people do it all the time. It's just getting that exposure. That's the hard part. But I don't know why the message that is on the radio is so bad. I mean, I hate to sound conspiracy theorist, but they do kind of like to dumb down people, and I feel like that's the way it's been for the last 10, 15 years in music on the radio.
And when it comes to hip hop too, you know, like, see, hip hop is kind of different from, you know, different genres in the way where, you know, a lot of hip hop is a story, right?
Yeah,
it's storytelling,
like poetry,
right?
So it is a form of storytelling.
So you're looking at artists that are basically giving you a reflection of their environment or a reflection of what they're seeing,
right?
And so you get a lot of this negative music right now because a lot of the environments are negative, right? And because what they're seeing is negative,
the reality,
right? And so the reality is that, you know, the world that a lot of these musicians are living in, you know, are not the best. You know, they're underprivileged. You know, people have a hard time getting a job. There's a lot of drug dealing. There's all kind of weapons and death and, you know, all these different elements. And these are the things that are fueling their creativity, that's fueling the music. And the record companies will key in and saying, well, if this is what's popular, you know, well, we're going to push that because this is also the element that we're also pushing and to the masses at large, right? You know, the movies, it's all about the violence, right? You know, everything, the commercials, television. So there's a certain element that the masses promote, you know, so we try to keep the music on the same level as well. And if you're living in an oppressed neighborhood and you can make it a little bit more violent and colorful with your lyrics, then that's even better. We'll promote it even more, as long as you keep us on that level, you know. So, and that's what keeps the vibration out, you know, on the mainstream level. Now you have some people that are living in the exact same conditions though, that can also find another way, you know, to express their creativity and put out positive music. And I think what's a beautiful thing about the time we live in right now, as opposed to when we were growing up, like you really only had the radio, you know, and so you were either staying up really late to find those underground stations, you know, and you know that you had to search the dial for, and it was fuzzy, you know, or you know you had to go to shows, you know what I mean, or seek out the record stores and get these records. But nowadays we're in this internet age where you can actually seek out and find. If you're into a certain type of music,
of course,
you can find it. You know,
artists,
and that's what really makes it a little bit, I guess, more comforting to me, right? And you know, is to know that at least if my kid is really looking for something good, he can go find it, and he's not, you know, relegated to what the radio is playing. You know, we don't have to.
It's much more democratic in that sense.
Yeah, right. There's definitely more options. So as much as there's that horrible low-hanging fruit, you know, that's being pushed at you, you can say no, it's okay. I'm going to go over here and go get something else.
Sure, and even support like independent artists who are doing great work, who, like we said, are not being cherished and promoted by the mainstream. By the mainstream channels that we grew up with, like radio and or television, right?
And I mean, we run into that too. I mean, we try to, you know, get added to Spotify playlists. It's a different game now than just sending a CD to a radio station. You know, you got to send emails, and we're trying. We get some exposure, we get play, but it's hard. It's hard. You really need a good PR person.
So is that the biggest obstacle to actually having more exposure? It's just the public relations and marketing.
Because I think it's so flooded with you know, anybody can be an artist or a songwriter. So to stand out is hard because there's so many of them.
You know? You know, but it's also finding your niche, you know, and I think that, you know, what we're really trying to do is to develop our niche and develop our market, you know, of this type of conscious hip hop, you know, this type of mind expanding music, heart opening music, chakra aligning music, you know, like that's really what we're trying to deal with and promote. You know, we're men that are talking about non-toxicity and, you know, dealing with divine masculinity and divine femininity and uplifting your goddess and being the true God that you're supposed to be. So, you know, I'm not even so concerned with any kind of mainstream edition, you know what I'm saying, or popularity, because that's not my audience, you know. I mean, everyone is my audience because I'm trying to make everyone raise their level, you know what I mean, and become a better person, you know. But, you know, if that's something that you're already about, then we're your group, you know, and you're going to get some satisfaction from the music that you hear from us. And, you know, and I think that that's just really something different too, you know, like we're really trying to be about being something different with what we do. You know, like I said, with the men's work, you know, we did an entire CD called Goddess Rising, which is an instrumental CD, which was for a weekend celebration called the Goddess Weekend, that my wife is one of the organizers for, with another amazing woman named Janny Moon. And it's held every year, and I think this might have been one of the last years. But they had this amazing goddess constructed out of wood and pieces of the timber from the land by this amazing artist named Amy Sen. She did it, one at Cosm as well. And so they made this amazing statue, and they asked us if we could do songs to represent the different goddesses. So there were 7 goddesses, and we did a different track for each one.
So it was like a soundtrack to the retreat. It was really cool.
That's very cool. So because I was actually going to ask, what is the motivation? But I guess you just answered the question. That is the motivation, right? It's seeking people that are seeking you and your kind of music and energy, right?
So soundtracks to retreats, like I said before, intimate shows. We really want to try to get into your living room, you know, 20
Well, some
people.
living rooms have great acoustics. So there you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and the inspiration comes from different places, you know, but it's definitely from the work that we're doing, you know, and, you know, that's what really drives this right now, you know, is like I said, true root, you know, what's your true root, you know, where are you coming from, what is the foundation of yourself, right? You know, that's why we have an incantation before we start our CD too, you know, like that's the first track that's on the EP is an incantation, you know, so that
that's another theme that's in our music a lot is our ancestors, and so the incantation is like a way to call in spirits, if you will, or the
Right.
ancestors.
Right.
So we start every album like that, and even in our vocals, we're talking a lot about our ancestors, our culture.
It's all about invoking that energy, you know, and bringing forth that, like I said, bringing forth that new, you know, way of thinking and this new paradigm that we're dealing with, you know, which is definitely very ancient, but at the same time, like I mentioned on the last program, is I'm trying to get rid of the old paradigm. You know, we're stepping into a new time, you know, so we're not really trying to deal with the old past, but we are very influenced by our ancestors, you know, and everything that they have been through. So we're trying to use that energy from our ancestors to push through into this new thing.
Amazing. This is actually kind of mind-blowing, so I need a moment. So for everybody watching, we're going to be back with more right after this. Thank you. And welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria. Once again, I have here with me Darut and Michael. And you guys mentioned the EP that is coming up. So what are some of the themes and songs that you guys have on it?
So the next EP is going to be called Seeking the Magic Within. And that was kind of actually like the running title that we were kind of using for this entire project when we first started it. Because that was something that we really wanted to talk about, you know. We really wanted to make the listener understand that we're trying to really go inward, you know, and for us to really start to understand how beautiful and how perfect we are inside, you know, and instead of always looking for the exterior and for someone else's validation, you know, for everything, you know, and to understand how truly magical we are as humans, as creators on this planet, you know. So seeking the magic within became like our mantra, really, in creating this entire grouping of songs before we started to chop them up into sections. And so I'm actually really excited about this second EP because True Root, it's a great EP, and it's kind of like the introduction into the magic. Right, you know, True Root. We gave you the incantation, and then we talked about medicine in True Root, and the different ways that these plant medicines can activate within you, and where your journey will begin. And in Seeking the Magic Within, it's like we're doing the work. You know, now in Seeking the Magic Within, this is like the work EP, where we're actually putting the work in, you know, and taking those things from the root foundation and now actually exploring that magic more into this EP.
Wow.
And
and a lot of my inspiration for this set of songs, actually all the songs, but this particular set, I had went to Peru in 2017. Yeah, 2017. In July, I did like a 10-day dieta where I was in the Amazon, in the jungle, living in like a little tambo in the woods, and they fed me lunch and dinner. But I lived like close to the land with Shipibo people, and a lot of my lyrics for the songs that we have came from my time out there. So it was in my journal. So a lot of the inspiration is from there. A lot of the, like I was saying, the field recordings, a lot of the music, I mean, a lot of the birds chirping and all that, that's all from the rainforest out in Peru.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you actually incorporated those sounds. You actually took a recorder with you?
Yeah, and I recorded them, and then we incorporated them into the songs. So I think there's 7 songs. I think maybe 5 of them have some essence from Peru on it. And that's really why I went out there. I was trying to seek the magic within. I used it as a hashtag, I think, when I took my last picture.
Yes?
Yeah. No,
Did you get connected?
This is my second time out there. And both of them were life-changing. You spend a lot of time by yourself, and you kind of really get to know yourself spiritually, physically. Your mind can go different places, but it's all noted in the journal, and it's cool to kind of have that space to do that. So for the music, you know, I would hear melodies, or I would record maybe like a shaker and then write a poem to it, and that's really how a lot of the songs came about.
Yeah, man. I think it's a really beautiful thing for us too, because expressing, this message on seeking the magic within, he was able to travel out to Peru, and I wasn't able to, but I was still able to hold space, in similar settings, although not in Peru, here, and still experience some of the things that, that MJ went through while he was there. So we had, similar experiences so that we can bring both of these experiences together, for this project. And I think that's what really is making the gel happen the way it's happening right now for us. It's because this is a shared experience, so we can both express it lyrically and musically, and do it together, from the same space, from the same point of view, and there isn't any hashing over anything, it's like it just flows out really naturally.
Sure.
And like I said, with these grouping of songs too, it's like it feels really good. There's a song on there called Right Now, which is just speaking to about, like I said, like we're doing the work. Like, what are you going to do right now?
Yeah.
It's like we have things that, say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Or, just like people make resolutions, or, you go away to a retreat and you feel great at the retreat, and then you come back and you go back to your old life or to the old routine, So it's like, we're talking about issues where it really speaks to you to say, like, yeah, what are you going to do about this? And that song in particular, or like the song MJ mentioned before, We Are the Ones, and We the Ones, where it's like, the mantra on that is, we're the ones that we've been waiting for, So once you start
it's a real like feel good kind of song. You hear the kids laughing in the neighborhood.
You feel that, and
awesome.
and you know that we're not waiting for saviors anymore.
Right.
We're finding the saviors within ourselves. And that's why, like I said, I'm just really happy with what we're trying to.
And then we have another song, Ritual. That's the one that we have the video for, and that kind of touches on this idea that, indigenous people, people that live close to the land, they had certain rituals that they did. They followed the seasons with the food, prayed to the water, talked to the plants. And we kind of stepped away from that as a culture. There's really no ritual that us in our society do. So we're talking about bringing that back.
Right, and in basic ways, So you have your daily rituals, and understand that sometimes you may even have a ritual and don't even realize what it is, It's because it's just become so mundane and routine for you, But everyone has a ritual, Your daily habit is your ritual.
Even brushing your teeth is a ritual.
Exactly, But so now, if you can add something to that,
be conscious of it.
and be conscious of this action
That's
that you're
the key
doing,
difference, consciousness.
Right. So putting that consciousness into it, and to now having these daily rituals, or having weekly gatherings, or doing this men's work, this is all about bringing this work into the now and being really present with it. So that, like I said, these are the different messages that we're definitely going to be exploring on Seeking the Magic Within.
Amazing. So when will the EP be out? So people can go and check it out, buy the song.
It's going to be out, in the end of August.
Yeah.
And then...
So by the time this airs, it'll be out.
It'll be out, yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Awesome.
Maybe the third one might be out by then. We don't have a name for that yet.
But that's coming really soon too, and we're even really more excited about that because we're working again with our bass player, and he's adding a lot of elements into the music, and it feels really good to have.
And he's featured as well on the Seeking the Magic Within.
Yeah.
He had twin daughters, so he had a lot to deal with. So we kind of strayed away from making music, although we're still friends.
Yeah.
But now his daughters, they're a little older, so now he can come to the Purple Room and play the bass.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, I am sorry that it's coming to an end. I know it goes by really fast when we're here, right?
Yeah,
It just
absolutely.
flies by. But I'm really glad that I had you both here today. Thank you so much, Darut, for coming back for your second time, right?
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
And
Give
thank you,
thanks.
Michael, for being here today.
Thank you.
So it was a pleasure. We will put everything so people can go on iTunes,
Yes.
wherever the music is out, YouTube, so you can
everywhere.
go check it out, listen to it.
Yes.
And thank you once again.
Thank you so
Give
much.
thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank
you,
you,
everybody.
And for everybody watching, like I said, all the links will be at the end of the episode and also on YouTube, so you can watch and or buy it. And we will be back next week with a new episode of I Am. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you then.